Remember? That's the problem of lecture. It's just after a week, nothing left. So we need review. And I think these are excellent points. But I think what's unique about his speech is this. There's some very important principles when you think about management or managing. It's something like this. We are called to redeem the fallen or clumsy world. The world that we are living, the business world, is not perfect. It's broken. It's like things are broken and imperfect and messy, heap of accidents and mistakes, fallen, and this is because there's a sin. Okay? Sin came to the earth, right? And it's interesting that Professor Liu talked about the fallen images of managers. Okay, so one of the two, right? One image is like an image of like a cold, like greedy and bloody sucking machine, right? Like that's the one image of manager currently, and second image is kind of bureaucratic and incompetent person, totally incompetent and not able, but very bureaucratic. Only talk about laws and. It's like the image is totally distorted from the image of God, who is the master manager in the world. So one assumption is this: no matter where you go, it's fallen world, clumsy world. It's not perfect world. Something is broken. Something is not perfect. The second is, it's very important. As a children of God, I don't know, it's all different, but each one have a glimpse of the God's kingdom. Somehow, God showed you, somewhere in your life, God gives a glimpse of God's kingdom. I really want to know about you. What kind of glimpse of God's kingdom you have? Maybe different from me, but I have something. You may have something. But the important thing is God has given us, each one of His God's child, revealed important aspect of God's kingdom. And the third thing that's happened is, we are standing in this in between, okay, and that's why we experience a constant and ongoing experience of tensions and struggles to make the better world. I think in our group, as someone mentioned that it's not supposed to be, right? It's a lot of competitions, and even Christians had to hold back information. It's not supposed to be, right? And I think that 종현 형제 also mentioned about. Could be better. This relationship with owner and employee could be better. There's something must be better. That idea, as a Christian, that's a very important driving force. Not by power, but by grace and in union with Christ. This is very important principles that the Professor Yu had given us, right? The perfect example is Joseph. I think the first manager in the Bible, professional manager. He's in retail business. Joseph, he came into the world in a fallen and clumsy world. Especially there was a huge worldwide famine. That's the world that he came in. He had a glimpse of God's kingdom through dreams. His own dream, also Pharaoh's dream. Okay, God gave him a dream, a glimpse of God's kingdom. And he, as a manager, he coordinated resources. What is that? Grain, crops. He collected all the crops, in the time of, good year, 7 years. He made a major capital investment in cities, like storages, okay, build storage. And store all the grain. And then in the time of famine, he released the simple coordination of resources, but it saved so many people's life. He made a better world. Yes, not by power, but by God's grace and God's plan. It's not his wisdom. And the important thing is, think about Joseph's image. It's not, is he like has the image of like bloody sucking greedy person or totally incompetent bureaucratic person? No. He's such a wise, diligent and competent, yet he was merciful. He was humble and compassionate manager. We need to redeem and restore the image of manager in the business world. Today, I'm going to give you the broad picture. I'm not going to talk about the specifics today because we don't have time, simply. In management, there are two broad issues. First issue is value creation. It's huge. It's about how to create business. And second is managing resources. It's very related but very distinctive issues. Actually, the professors you mostly focus on value creation. Don't you realize that? It's all talk about innovation and creating values, right? He said creating values means competing ideas of better world. Okay. Whose idea? Okay. Google have their idea of better world, right? Apple has idea of better world. And when you have business, means you have idea of better world. If customer have this product, this will make them better world, right? There's competing ideas, but it will be determined by or tested in the marketplace. That applies to all the business, right? It's about competition of better ideas. Like, who make the thinner TV, right? Because they believe that by making a thinner TV, they can make a better world. Right? But as a Christian, we need to think about one more step. It's this. A better world for whom and for what? Even if you create better words, that create value for any customer, I think you did a great job. I mean, that's very difficult to do, and you already did a great job. But if you can, we can even think further. A better word for whom and for what? Because the most world business is heading towards the 1%, to serve the 1% in the world. So 99% people serve the 1% on their need. Like, should iPhone goes this way or thinner TV and more comfortable? It's all the business is heading to like this. Business world goes towards the top 1%. But this is another way to understand business as a mission. Business as a mission, because we are already here. If we live here, we are already here. And what we want to do is, we want to reverse the stream. That we want to bring our business resources flow into those who are not in top 1%. Many the third world countries is far down there. Maybe you can think of an urban mission. We have business resources. We want to now flow to those who do not have. They need the business with the heart of God, love of God. That's actually what we are trying to do. We are going to reverse the flow. And also, what kind of need you want to serve? Actually, there are a lot of business going on in third world countries, in Asia and Far East. But the problem is, what kind of business it is, right? Human trafficking, 인신매매, 7 million per year. And business also, fast spread into the third world countries. But the most business is something like bar, 술집, yeah, and prostitution. So what kind of need you serve, right? So this is kind of a question we need to ask as BAMers on top of those two things. And driven by what? Is it by your personal ambition or by holy desire or discontent? Because you know God, you want to change things, you want to fix. So I think the Professor Yu made a great point. The true vision comes from God. When you discover God's heart and God's mind, you will find the right problem. That's a very important starting point. I think this is all, pretty much summarized. Very important point that we think about in creating values, and that really focuses on focus of the most Professor Yu's speech in the last JBS meeting. But I want you to know that only covers half of the issue in management issues. Before moving on, Professor Yu gave us a very interesting, but I think this is very important question to ask when you start a new business, right? Once your heart is united with God's heart, you can just ask 5 questions. Okay. What inspires you? What bothers you? Who are the stakeholders and what is their relationship? What are their unmet needs and why they are important? How do you want to change the situation and what is your solution? And what are the resources you need to create and sustain the solution? It looks like a simple question, but you know what? This is what business school teaches to students when they create new business. If you can answer these 5 questions, you have a business. And JBS, I just mentioned about, that entirely focused on creating a business. And the content is about 90% different from JBS, because now focus more on creating your business. Okay. But I really want you to know there is a totally different issues remaining in management.